Hi everybody, this is Barry Schwartz. This is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, April 20th. I apologize in advance, I'm a little bit under the weather, and I'll go as quickly and as possible so you guys get the news in a fairly short manner. In any event, the first topic I wanted to discuss was that Google I thought they were doing a major update. Tons and tons of different sites were hit, no longer showing up in the Google search results. I emailed Google asking them what's going on. They didn't respond for like 2 or 3 days, and then when they did, Matt Cutts posted it on his Google Plus account, basically saying there was a bug in Google search results, specifically with their classifier for park domains, and a bunch of sites that shouldn't have been classified as park domains were, and thus those sites were actually pushed out of the index. That has been fixed, and those sites are back. I'm still suspecting to see an over-optimization filter come out any day now. I'm not exactly sure when. There are some people who don't believe what Matt Cutts said, and they feel it was the over-optimization filter being tested. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, only Google would know. But Google's Matt Cutts said it had to do with the park domain classifier. Again, that affected a lot of sites, and this is not the first time it happened. Google had a park domain classifier problem at least a year or so ago. So I have 2 posts about that, one on April 19th and one on April 17th. Speaking of the over-optimization penalty or filter or algorithm, what do you want to call it, on April 18th I wrote a post about what you could do to prepare for it. This way, when it does come out, hopefully you won't be impacted by it. So that's the main question. So there's a bunch of outlines here from people that things such as keyword density, anchor text, duplicate content, inorganic links, a lot of different things here like redirects, and it's not necessarily the best list, but the discussion is pretty good. So there's about 23 comments in there, all discussing things around that, and there's different webmaster role threads and different links in there that could help you hopefully potentially stay away from being impacted by this over optimization filter. So if you want more about that, April 18th at seroundtable.com. Matt Cutts also announced on his Google Plus page yesterday, actually, that Google does not like and considers it spam to go ahead and list out dozens or hundreds of thousands of phone numbers on your page just to target those different types of phone numbers. So you've done it. I'm sure everybody's done a search on a phone number before. Somebody called them, they didn't know who it was. They typed in the phone number to Google, and it comes really nothing. It just comes up with a page of phone numbers with really trying to get you to buy something. And Matt Cutts said he doesn't like it. And he wants to clarify that when people are searching for a phone number and land on a page like the one listed below, he showed a screenshot of all these phone numbers. It's really not useful, and it's a bad experience. We also consider it to be keyword stuffing to put out so many phone numbers on a page. There are a few websites that provide value add for some phone numbers, sites that let people discuss a specific phone number that keeps calling them over and over again. But if a site stuffs a large number of phone numbers on its page without substantial value add, that can violate our guidelines, not to mention annoy users. And the thing is this going to be something new that Google targets? I'm not exactly sure. Matt Cutts said, no, this is nothing new. This is something that's always been part of their policies. But he said he only posted about it because he wants a place to reference it in the future. Again, I don't know if something's going to come down that's going to go ahead and say, hey, we've referenced this and here it is. We talked about it a year ago, but we'll see what happens. Google has sent out 20,000 weird redirect hack notices. So this happens all the time. Sites get hacked, but I've seen it more recently now that sites get hacked with weird redirects, meaning that the redirect only happens if you go from Google, search for the company, find the result, click on the result, and only if it's coming from Google or a search engine will it redirect you to some spam site. This way, the webmaster who owns the site won't necessarily notice unless he goes from Google to see a site, where most webmasters don't bother going to Google to see their site. They go directly to their website. And this is something using the HD Access hack, and Google's now sending out 20,000 notifications to webmasters saying, hey, you've been hacked in this fashion. This morning I posted about the negative SEO debate. It's not the first time we've talked about negative SEO. Can you hurt competitors, or can you hurt somebody in the search results from not ranking well anymore? And there was a big debate about this recently, specifically because of the increase in the unnatural link warnings and the over-optimization filter that's coming out, where people are saying, hey, Google, you really can't be doing this because there's nothing stopping me from hurting my competitors doing this. And the fact is, they are doing this. The fact is, people do believe in in negative SEO, and people are trying to make people examples. So one person in Traffic Planet went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and make an example after Dan Thies, who actually was one of our contributors at the Search Engine Roundtable a while back in the day. And the reason he made him an example was because he congratulated Matt Cutts for going ahead and targeting the blog networks that were what we talked about a few weeks ago and penalizing those. So this guy felt that, hey, this Dan Thies is against SEO. We're going to go make an example of him because he's backing up Google. And while Dan's rankings have dropped in the recent weeks or so, Dan says it has nothing to do with the negative SEO efforts, whereas these people who do have, this person who has done the negative SEO efforts says that yes, it does have to do with that. So Rand Fishkin of SEO Moz is so confident that that negative SEO won't work for him that he offered up his sites as a sacrificial lamb for anybody who wants to prove otherwise that negative SEO will work. He offered up his SEO Moz site, his personal website, randfishkin.com, or any of his other websites that you want to make a target out of. The core issue, and I wrote this in the blog post, is that, and Aaron Wall said this as well, basically the issue is SEO is going after SEOs because of Google. Basically, Google's doing one thing, and because of that, and because of the opinions of SEOs have around what Google's doing, SEOs are targeting other SEOs, which really, I don't know if it helps Google, but Aaron Wall thinks so. But it's basically, whereas SEOs should be uniting and trying to come up with a solution to make the best possible websites and make the best possible techniques in order to improve websites and to obviously give Google the best content, they're going after each other. They're hurting people in the search results. It's breaking our community apart. And I really think this stems back to, the no-follow attribute. And why I say that is, I really felt there was a major, riff in the SEO community when that was first introduced. It was basically Google saying, if you don't trust the link, slap on a no-follow tag. If you have paid links, well, first of all, it was initially meant for comments. Anybody, or user-generated comments. Anybody who's posting to your website, you can't vouch for those links who are posting, so you should put a no-follow tag on them. Eventually, it turned out to be, if there's any paid links on your site or any links that might not be, something that you should vouch for, you should slap a no-follow on it so Google ignores it. Back in the day, it was like, all right, if you were an SEO and you wanted to sell links, you just put it in a box called sponsor links. What happened was, when they introduced this no-follow attribute, most SEOs didn't jump on it. They said, whatever. We're going to stick to the way how we're doing it. We're going to unite and stick to the way we're doing things and not add the no-follow attribute to our paid links. What happened was, Google then introduced a PageRank penalty for sites that are actually selling links and didn't slap on the no-follow attribute. As soon as Google did that, I would say 95% of the major SEO sites out there went ahead and slapped on the no-follow, submitted a reconsideration request, which is exactly what Google wanted. It was a smart move by Google, but that really split the SEO community. I stubbornly and stupidly try to make a statement and stand up and say, hey, I'm going to keep it the way it is, keep my PageRank penalty, keep my downgrade in rankings, and just keep those links there just to be stubborn and make a point. But it's more for me about the SEO community uniting and not splitting up because of what Google's done. At the same time, I don't blame Google. It's the smartest. If I was working at Google, I would have done that too. But I really feel like that move by Google unintentionally went ahead and made a big... was like one of the first settings where Google was basically doing something, SEO split amongst it, and then they did something which split up the SEO community. And I think it really stems from there. And I mean, obviously, this negative SEO debate is just escalating from there, and it's just a shame to see. All right, let's keep going. We're well into this video, and I'm only about halfway done. Google cost per click has continued to decline. The CPC prices have continued to decline as we learned from the Google first quarter announced earnings statement this past week or so. There was just some highlights about their earnings. 24% increase in revenues. Net income was about almost $3 billion in the first quarter. Amazing. The aggregated paid clicks has increased. The number of clicks have increased tremendously. About 39% over the first quarter of last year. The average cost per click declined about 12% because of the increase in clicks that obviously made up for it tremendously. And Google has about $50 billion in cash, and they have about 33,000 employees on record. Those are some stats from Google. Did you know 7% of searches are misspelled in Google? So because of that, Google AdWords is going to change their match type settings to, in the future, about next month sometime, that basically, by default, if you're using exact match or phrase match, they're going to go ahead and include variants of those spellings, including misspellings, singular and plural forms, stemmings, accents, and abbreviations. You can turn off this feature if you want to, but Google's going to be doing it. They said it has an increase of 3% in clicks when you do this. Some people are upset because this really changes the nature of how phrase and exact match work. Google author stats have gone missing from the Google Webmaster Tools. Google said that they removed it because they are currently working on fixing a bug that's within it, so it's currently gone. It should come back soon, I hope. Google has updated their rich snippets testing tool, so now you can just embed HTML code in it without having to make the web page live and submitting a URL to Google. You could just take the HTML, stick it in Google, and Google will tell you the rich snippet markup. They also have expanded their product rich snippets internationally more, so it works in any language. Google Cuts did a great presentation, 45 minutes long, at the Search Inside conference in Korea. It's the 2012 Korea Webmaster Conference, and it's a 45-minute long speech. It's pretty good. You should take a look at that. We posted about it yesterday. Google Places has a bug in some situations where if you do a search for some type of localized result, like plumbers, Google will only show you 10 results without the pagination being on the bottom of the page. So you can't go to page 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Google is working on a feature for Google Maps Places where you could tell Google that the place has been moved, like you moved your business. Instead of closing the business, you can say, we've moved, and we moved here. So that's something that people are looking forward to. Microsoft is now very soon going to finalize the search ads in the UK, France, and Ireland with Yahoo. So Yahoo is now currently in the UK, France, and Ireland being powered by Yahoo Search, but that migration has started and it's going to be completed by the end of this month. And that should be 100% by the end of this month. And you probably should see a change in traffic from Yahoo search campaigns in UK, France, and Ireland to mostly being Ad Center related, Microsoft. Bing Search API is now going to be paid. I don't know exactly when it will happen, but basically if you have 20,000 queries or more per month, you'll be paying $40 per month for it, and the prices go up from there. It's probably going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, and you have to go ahead and sign up for that if you are using the Bing Search API. I noticed a thread over at QR that basically an SEO company or two SEO companies are trying to patent their process for doing SEO, search engine optimization. There's 2 patents that were awarded in the past 2 months. One on the operationalism of search engine optimization, and the other one is for website and method for search engine optimization by promoting, recording, and displaying feedback of a web user. And they basically both are related to the process an SEO company does in order to perform SEO. The question is, can and should an SEO company patent the process of SEO? That's our post on April 20th. That was today. And finally, we have several polls that we published last Friday. I was offline, so I just published a bunch of polls, and I'll go through them quickly. There they are. Google Webmaster Tools is more popular and more used by webmasters instead of Bing, and then there was a poll that has said that, and it's obviously no-brainer. Half of SEOs are satisfied with Google's Chrome's penalty. Google Chrome got involved in a paid link thing, and half of the SEOs out there are happy with that penalty. 82% of SEOs don't trust Google. They don't trust Google when they say they don't share search ranking data with other departments. Most SEOs feel that social is required to compete in the search rankings going forward. And we had a poll on April 13th basically saying which of the factors did Google turn off when it comes to the link factors, and the results are all over the place. It's not really worth me sharing, but I posted the survey and the results there, and you can take a look at that as you see fit. That pretty much recaps the Search Buzz Video Recap. I'm sorry it took so long. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. And that's about it. That was the Search Buzz Video Recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. Today is April 20th, Friday, and everyone have a great weekend. Bye.